Number one, who are your Stanley Cup favorites?
Oh, that is a great question. I feel like I can't answer this until the playoffs begin because of how unique the situation is this year. Teams are only playing 6, 7, 8 other teams in the league. So I don't think we can give a legitimate favorite if they're only playing a quarter of the competition. I think there are obviously some teams that might jump out. Colorado's looking good. They're looking good for years to come. Vegas are looking pretty good. Boston's not looking too bad. Toronto's looking good, but obviously that comes in the context of who they're playing against. So when they come up in the later rounds against other teams in other divisions, will that hold? I don't know. So it's a good question. If I had to say right now, I'm just going to go with kind of the easy answer and say Colorado, but with the caveat of we need to wait until the playoffs actually start.
Right, that's fair. Who do you rank as the top players in the league?
Got to be Connor McDavid, right?
Give us your top 10. How about?
Oh, okay. Top 10. Top 10 players in the league. Okay. I've got to go Connor McDavid up there. Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't have Connor McDavid in at least your top 3 or top 2, then you'd be crazy. Austin Matthews has got to be up there as well. Sidney Crosby. I feel like everybody's like counting Sidney Crosby out, who was just placed on the COVID protocol list this today. I found out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the
Crosby is still arguably the best all-round player still. Like
absolutely.
Yeah. Like in terms of a two-way and like in terms of like value, like because obviously it's value and point totals aren't necessarily the same thing.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I mean, you've got to win Stanley Cup championships. You can't just have a team full of point per game players. Like, it's not how it works.
Yeah.
So, McDavid, Matthews, he's been a stud for that team. I feel like the 50 goals, 50 games, like Leafs fans need to calm down with that. Like, we can have a conversation about that later if you want. They got to calm down. McDavid, Matthews, Crosby. I've got to put Panarin up there. Like, he single-handedly helped the Rangers to the playoffs. I know that might be a little bit biased, but he was a Hart candidate last year. Like, cut him some slack. So that's 4. You've got to go David Pastrnak. Absolutely. I mean, look at him. He's scorching it up for the Bruins at the moment in one of the most difficult divisions in hockey at the moment.
Nathan McKinnon?
Yes, good call. I feel like he's still underrated. He's still underrated to the wider masses, to the point where even I forget like he's one of the best players in the league.
He's actually been compared. People have been comparing him to McDavid, saying that he could actually challenge McDavid for the title of the best player on the planet.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I think in terms of the longevity of holding that title, that's a different conversation. Because I think McDavid, he's going to hold that well into his 30s if things go the way that it's going to go, like similar to Crosby, for example, right? He's been known as the best player. He's in his mid-30s by now. So like to hold that title for the last decade, that's not an easy thing for a hockey player or any athlete to do. So so I've got to add McKinnon in there, so that's 6, because I've got Pastrnak in there as well. I'm trying to think of a goalie. I think you've got to go for somebody like Connor Hellebuck, right? He's got to be one of the top 10 players in the league. He won the Vezina last year. Like he led the Winnipeg Jets. Like, look at the Winnipeg Jets roster, the defensive core from last year, and tell me that Connor Hellebuck isn't the best goaltender in the league. Like, look at their defensive core. They lost Bufflin, they lost Trouba, they lost Myers. They had a very, very weak on paper. Yeah, exactly. Sherratt as well. They had a weak defensive core on paper. They were playing a lot of rookies, and Connor Hellebuck kept them in that competition and actually got them to the playoffs. So I think you've got to give him props as well. That's 8 players. I'm going to go with Ovi because he hasn't had the best year. It's not been the best year for Ovi so far with the new coach. Obviously, Peter Laviolette's come in and started coaching the team, and his goals have kind of dropped off a little bit. But if we're talking about best players in the league, you can't have the conversation without Ovi being there. And then, who would be my last guy? That's a really...
Can I name just a few suggestions?
Go for it.
Nikita Kucherov.
Okay.
Patrick Kane.
That's a pretty good choice, yeah.
Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
And Evgeny Malkin.
Malkin, no, I don't think he's a top player in the league anymore. I'd put him, that's a difficult situation because he's clearly not the player he was anymore.
And Mitch Marner too. Like
Mitch Marner's a good call as well.
He should not just be a Matthew Shadow.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's it's difficult when you have these 2-star guys that often play on the same line. It's so difficult. It's the same with the Gretzky Yari Curie situation, isn't it? It's like how many goals did Curie score that were kind of credited or thanks to being a line mate with Gretzky, and how many assists did Gretzky get being attributed to the great players he played
Ovechkin
with.
and Backstrom too.
Exactly. So I think this is tough because there's so many solid players in the NHL at the moment. I feel like I've got to give the 10th spot to Leon Draisaitl. I mean, the reigning Hart champion. I feel like, a lot of the argument was, but he was playing with McDavid. That's why he did so well. A lot of last season, he wasn't playing with McDavid because they were on different lines. So I feel like that's such a difficult task to do, though, to get 10 players. If you gave me 20, then I'd probably be able to do it. But 10, that's a tough one. But I like the question. Good one.
Yeah, no, of course. We could name honorable mentions for the next hour if we want to. But
yeah. And one more for you, Hayden. What are your favorite divisions to watch?
Okay, so based on the fact that it's obviously a 5-hour time difference for the teams in the east of North America, and it's about a 7-8 hour time difference for the teams in the west. I don't watch. The problem is I love to watch live NHL hockey, but because it's all like right in the middle of the night, it's so difficult for me to get the chance to. So I usually only watch Rangers games live, and then I catch up on everything else like the next morning or over the next couple of days, kind of check Twitter and see the great stuff that happened. Like if I was supporting a Western Conference team, I would have no sleep schedule whatsoever. Because, I mean, their games start at 3:30 in the morning, 3:30 here. So they finish by about 6. So, I can't do that. I can finish a game at 2:30 in the morning and be like, okay, right, we can get some good sleep from that. It's the East Division is the one that I've been watching the most. I have caught an eye on a couple of Canadian division games because the Montreal Canadiens kind of my second team because my girlfriend's from Canada. I've spent the last couple of years working in Montreal over the summer. So it's kind of my home away from home now. But they started off well, but they're not doing very well recently, are they? So both of my teams, I feel like I'm a bad luck charm for them. It's great.
It could change. You never know. It could change.